Yo, Jonathan here. It's been a hot minute since I've done one of these. Finally though, I am back with a new episode of the Best Desk Setup, this time with a target goal of under $1,000. So the objective is to find a desk, keyboard, mouse, speakers, and a monitor, all without exceeding that price point. And while the idea here is to bring your own computer, whether that's a desktop or a laptop, the monitor featured in this setup packs a few different features that might surprise you. Specifically, this is the Samsung M8 Smart Monitor with Streaming TV, and huge thank you to Samsung for sponsoring this setup and supporting the channel. This is a beautiful 32-inch display that comes in multiple colors, packs so many different features, and is currently on sale at a price point that makes this extremely compelling. So I have a link to where you can check this out along with the sale price in the description, and on top of that, I'll also be giving one of these away as a thank you to you for supporting the channel. So if you're interested in upgrading your setup, just drop a comment stating what your favorite feature is, and it's not required, but if you're feeling like being awesome, make sure to drop a like down below. So the goal with the setup alongside price was to keep things clean, minimal, but also not take up a lot of space. And while the display is rather large itself at 32 inches, the design and form factor is so thin that it doesn't take up this massive footprint. So aesthetically, I think this looks incredible. And again, because it does come in multiple colors, you can cater that to your preference. And if you're in an environment where you don't have a ton of room to work with, not only does this function as your computer display, it doubles as a smart TV. And when I say doubles as a smart TV, I don't mean, oh, it has an HDMI port that you can plug something into. There is legitimate smart TV functionality built inside. This gives you access to essentially every streaming app you could possibly want. It also packs AirPlay, which makes things really convenient. And while we did upgrade the speakers to an external option for this setup, the built-in speakers are surprisingly good. I think for me as a display, one of the things that surprised me and stood out was how bright it was coming in at 400 nits. And I think that's one of those things that often gets overlooked in terms of monitors, because you'd be surprised at how many different displays come in at 300 nits or below. It's pretty clear there was a lot of thought that went into the design and functionality here. Everything from the webcam that is removable and detachable, so it's there when you need it and goes away when you don't. Auto source switch plus, which seems like a small thing, but I think we've all been there when we've plugged something into a TV or a monitor and then just had to cycle through the different inputs and hope we find the correct one. Whereas this one will automatically switch as soon as you plug that device in. This also packs USB-C and will output up to 65 watts of power so you can charge your laptop. And it's things like that, not having to rely on an external brick or power source for your laptop, that not only keep things clean, but just looking great. For this setup, the speakers are the Z407 from Logitech, which is this super stealthy looking 2.1 audio system with a subwoofer and this surprisingly cool wireless control dial. Not only does this work with volume control, you can play, pause, or mute a track. You can even adjust the amount of bass from that subwoofer, and again, this will work wirelessly up to 20 meters away. It's a great balance of sound with plenty of volume, and what's kind of a cool trick is it works in two different orientations. So in my case, I have them standing up vertically, which I think looks great, but let's say you wanted to mount them horizontally, they work that way as well. Why this works so well though is since you are able to connect through Bluetooth, not only does that lead to one less wire, which is always a great thing, but you not only take advantage of the sound system through the PC desktop side, but also the streaming TV aspect as well. Not only does that work with speakers, but that also extends to things like Bluetooth headsets and headphones. So if you're in a situation where you need to not make as much noise, that also works extremely well. The icing on the cake and kind of the bigger surprise on top of all that is you can also connect an Xbox controller and take advantage of Xbox cloud streaming with Game Pass, which works surprisingly well. You of course can add an Xbox to this setup, but I think that's the idea here, is to add as much functionality to the monitor without relying on external devices. So if you just wanted to grab a controller, that's going to get you that option. And that applies down to things like internal PC options, to where you can even browse the web without an external PC. That then extends itself to the ability to use something like Dex. So the option and feature list is just jam-packed. Now the desk is the Lisabo from Ikea. There's a couple different variants, specifically this is the one with the pull-out drawer. So I think it's a great balance of being affordable without feeling cheap. It's got an ash veneer top, solid birch legs, so it feels sturdy. Again, it's very compact and doesn't take up a lot of room, but clearly there's enough space to house everything. The display, the keyboard, the mouse, the speakers, and an Xbox controller, all without feeling crowded. Myself, I'm usually someone who tends to go for bigger desk options, so again, I was surprised at how efficient it is in terms of space, but also build quality as well. The other added bonus here is I know sometimes with Ikea stuff, it can be not the most fun to build, especially when there's like 15,000 different pieces. This though is very simple, very minimal, and is super simple to put together. For the keyboard and mouse, this is the K380 and M650 from Logitech, which are very budget friendly. You can grab both for under 100 bucks. The mouse is solid, but I think what surprised me most was the keyboard, simply because it doesn't feel like a $29 keyboard. It just feels way more premium. It's got a nice stealthy look, and I really love the fact that it isolates and showcases 1, 2, and 3, which are the number of Bluetooth connections you could have to a single keyboard. The combination of the keyboard and mouse, I think, also complements the aesthetic of the speakers, which, if you pull back, also complements the aesthetic of the desk and the monitor, which really just ties everything together. Jumping back to the mouse, and yes, I realize that mice in general aren't always the most exciting part of a setup, but there's a couple underrated features here, starting with the fact that it's extremely silent. So again, if you are in that situation where you can't make a lot of noise, this is perfect. And battery life. A single AA battery is going to get you up to 24 months of battery life, which is kind of wild. Really, I think this setup is a great blend of looks, quality, maximizing the amount of space in a smaller footprint, and more importantly, flexibility, because whether you're on Mac or Windows, this is a great option across the board. So that is the setup. If you guys want to see more of these, let me know. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And again, if you are feeling like being awesome, make sure to drop a like down below. This is Jonathan, and I will catch you guys later.